Yo, good evening. I'm your host, Don Armando, and this is Open Topics with Don Armando. So, tonight we're going to be talking about the charges dismissed for the cop that killed, that unalived Eddie Rizari in Philadelphia, and the riots or protests that may come from it. In my action, I could actually say that I'm tired of that we living in 2023 and people are still have and cops are still not being brought to justice for unaliving innocent people. So I would like to have anybody or everybody's input into this recent happening. Dímelo, Pri, ¿cómo está usted allá en la República Dominicana? Te sale el nuevo video, pero yo no veré eso. Pero salió una noche ayer. Ah, ok, informarme, ya tú sabes, en WhatsApp. Yo, Hebrew Line. Yo, last week was stupid because guess who came on Don Jose's live saying the same exact crap that y'all warned me about. And I told him, I know what you're doing, bro. So, you know. And it was a female that actually confirmed what this guy would actually be doing. So I'm not. So I would like to thank you and Aslan for warning me months before what this guy was or guys were actually doing. And you could tell the constant stupidity that this guy was studying. At first, the guy went up and told me, "Oh, you know that the feds are looking into you now." I'm like, "Yeah, but they're probably, yeah, because you're AI mimic, right?" And then the head honcho of the idiots was like, "Oh, we're gonna expose you for being quote unquote the LGBT." I'm like, y'all got nothing better to do. Like, for real. I already seen this right there. Y'all made a fake account on Grindr, right? I was like, pitiful. I've been knowing all this. So what the heck y'all gonna expose? I tell you, these dudes is weak. Exactly. I mean, from the stuff they all warned me about, and then when the Queen went up and was saying all this stuff up on Don Jose's live, I was like, I'm 2 steps ahead of you. What y'all gonna do? He's like, oh yeah, I'm a straight man. I was like, more determined that was a lie. I'm like, yo, these guys are pathetic, man. They couldn't find any info to back up what they were saying. So now they're actually trying to go make fake accounts thinking that they're exposing me. These guys are idiots. And then on top of it, it's like, you're with the feds. I'm like, yeah, but the last time I heard, I think you were working for them. If you were to actually say that. So technically, you don't know nothing. But everybody knows about you. I have tea, but I'm not even going to spill it because, I mean, I'm just keeping it to myself. But I have a lot of tea on a particular person. And it actually confirms what it says. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Well, I'm just gonna say this. I spoke to Zach a few days ago. He's all right, but it's it's another entity which I'm not gonna name because the other entity one of those like, oh, that they're gonna go and try to send a restraining order, and they're gonna try to get my struggle channel shut down. I'm like, wow. Nah, Lucas is about to be up in a few minutes. I spoke to Lucas, so he's about to be up in a few minutes. Well, I think that Zacharias is just giving social media a break because you got a whole bunch of idiots who are actually doing backhanded things, if you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and he's an idiot. I mean, people will know that if you're using that technology is actually going to come back to you. So, yeah, Don Armando, he's pathetic too. I'll tell you the only reason he's mad at me. He's mad at me when I actually pointed out the hypocrisy what he was actually doing. He went up and was trying to tell a fighter, "Oh, why don't you do a story on Bad Bunny?" I'm like, okay, so why don't you do it? I mean, shoot, you had a whole segment about it. The guy went up like a child, tried to tell me that I'm a fan of Bad Bunny and all this other junk. I'm like, technically, I'm not. At least I'm not doing a whole segment on just Bad Bunny. You did that. As soon as I said that, I guess he's mad for me. He's mad at me forever. Who cares? All right, I'm back. I had to go and do a couple of things. All right, I'm just waiting for any special guests to come through. And Rakim, I actually dropped the link. Yeah, one thing I actually say, I actually like the bass line to this beat right here. Shout out to my cousin Smitty for making the beat. When I actually make Historias Urbanas, I'm gonna actually interview him, so therefore he could get his name out there and he could be more famous than what he really is. So as soon as I get my numbers up, I would actually do artist promotions, interviews, international whatsoever. So stay tuned. I got like some big ideas for Historias Urbanas. Yeah, I actually spoke to him, so he said to give him like 15 or 20 minutes. So we got like 8 likes to come through. I got the link in the chat description. So I would really like to talk about this topic tonight about what can we do to change police brutality because we're sick. I'm 40 years old and I'm sick and tired of hearing the same narrative about police brutality, but yet no justice hasn't been going on. Like the cop conviction rate in this country is very low compared to other countries. All right, so this is one thing that I'm actually tired of. I'm actually tired of people, and then we have all these bad verdicts and people rioting and everything. But we need to change the narrative because what's rioting's going to do? You're actually inconveniencing people even more. And then on top of it, you're if you didn't have a record, you're now going to have a record just for participating in flash mobs and rioting and this, that, and the fourth. And what did you Yeah, I'm sorry for that. And all I do is music playing in the background, so therefore I had to mute myself. As I was saying, since people are writing and then putting new charges on their records, or if they didn't have a record, now they do. What can we do instead of protesting and rioting and all this other stuff to actually prevent police brutality in the future, or just the same old system? How you doing, Rakim?
Don, how you doing today, brother? I'm doing pretty well, man. I can't call it.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's just that yesterday in Philadelphia there was a verdict that a cop's charges was dismissed for unaliving a special needs man by the name of Eddie Rizari.
Yeah, I've been watching that. I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, it's they were saying that the man had a knife because he felt threatened. But the thing is, though, they said it was body cam, it was footage and everything, but yet they still let the offending police officer with charges dismissed. So this is my thing. Whenever we actually hear a verdict that displeases us and everything, and then it becomes the narrative that we loot and break stores and everything like that. How can we change our perceptions? I'm talking about as blacks and Latinos. So therefore, we won't have to do that, and we could actually move politically or economically. So therefore, we could finally, so families of police brutality could actually receive justice.
Well, first and foremost, I would say I'm not with all of this looting, different things like that. It'd be people that say that they doing it because of injustice, but really it's people that just got their own reasons behind it. They just want to find a reason to go into these stores and take. That's really the only thing with that I don't like. But also rioting, what they call it rioting, but like riots and looting has always been a tool of the powerless, because when you don't have the power institutionally to change things, what do we see people do? We see people rioting and looting. There was a similar situation. I know you grew up in the Bronx, but when you look at the Washington Heights riots in '92, where it was a cop that shot that young boy in the back, and a lot of people in Washington Heights at the time, you know, they rioted, different things like that. The same thing here in 1977, uh, here in Chicago, when a young Boricua, young Puerto Rican man, was shot by a police officer, and it had been so much racial injustice within that community in Humboldt Park that it had been a riot there as well. And also, we can go back to 1992 as well in South Central LA, when Rodney King, who was beaten, and the footage, and they was acquitted after footage that this man was obviously beaten within an inch of his life, and that caused injustices and riots and stuff there. Um, the thing is, we have to have politicians representing for the voice
Yo,
for the people.
shout out. Yeah, one thing I have to say, shout out to Eagles fans. I'm like, I'm good and everything, but I haven't seen you in a while. Like, yo, what's up, bro? I mean, shout out to you, Eagles fan, for coming through. So I got the link in the description, so I'll put it up again if you want to join.
But the thing is, people were going to have to be able to get politicians, and we're going to have to be able to put money behind these politicians. We're going to have to pay them off. It's simple and plain. We're going to have to pay them off to get them to do what's needed. And we have to understand where we are, like as far as where we are politically. I saw the
Right.
footage that man, Eddie. It wasn't anything that I saw in that footage that he can be perceived as a threat. The officer was afraid. He got trigger happy and he opened fired on Eddie. And the fact that he got acquitted after that footage blatantly showed that was a slap in the face.
I mean, yeah, because it was funny. It was funny, right? I mean, in my workplace, I have a Portuguese friend, right? So me and him, we actually vibe together because of whatsoever, maybe ancestral history, whatever, right? So me and my Portuguese friend, he was the one that actually showed me that this cop got acquitted, and it was like, what? So I went up and I worked out yesterday, and then the bus driver was talking about it, and he was like, "Yo, this is gonna be a riot whatsoever." And lo and behold, I look on Instagram, everybody's looting and all this other stuff. And it's funny that when it comes to Philly or New York, right? I I don't know. I'll just be my very own business or whatsoever. But everybody always say that they see somebody that look like me taking a TV or something like that. I'm like, I don't be around where the lootings at. I don't know if it's I don't know if I have to be in somewhere to go and actively loot or something. But I just don't know. I just don't be where the action at because I just go to work, go to the gym and go home. So me personally, if people say, "Hey, we're gonna riot," I'm not trying to be there because 9 times out of 10, I could just be walking, and then I get arrested just for being around the scene. When the fact is, I wasn't even participating in nothing, and stuff like that happens. I'll take for example when everybody went up and they messed up a lot of stores when the Eagles won, and people were just it was not so much a riot, but it's just people just destroying stuff. Now, me being who I am, an Afro Latino man, right?
Stuff like that never gets talked about, by the way. That gets
Exactly.
under the rug. Yeah, that gets swept that gets swept under the rug as far as when you hear about, these suburban kids tearing up stuff during sports games. That never gets the media coverage. But what I was saying earlier, like rioting and looting is the voice of the powerless. And this has been a domino effect. This has been a domino effect. This just didn't start out of nowhere. This is from years and years of mistrust in the police department because the police department was never really meant to, police low socioeconomic neighborhoods. And they was, the social economics as far as, like that being poverty and crime go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly. And the rich elite has found a way to capitalize off all of that. I'll put you in shitty areas that don't have resources. You go to shitty schools. The curriculum is simple. They pass you through. You're uneducated. You don't know anything. You go out into the streets. Either you work a low wage job where you're labor, or you try to go against the grain and do some type of criminal activity to get you into the middle class. And if you're caught, you're in the prison in the prison industrial system, and you're still labor. So ways like that. It's illegal substances that's illegal that we make ways to come into this country. We make ways for those illegal substances to come into this country. You make money off of the fact that people want to get high. We lock you up. We put you in the prison industrial complex to be labor. And we take the money that you've accumulated by selling illegal substances that we let in the country.
Exactly. And it was like, and to me, when you're actually looking at illegal substances and the domino and socio effect of rioting or whatever, it's to the point that I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of for my 40 years of everybody having a riot. Then on top of it, nothing gets done. People get new charges right there that shouldn't be out there in the first place. So therefore, my thing is we could put the money behind the politicians and everything like that. But what can we do internally to go around and say, okay, we need to preserve our businesses. We need to preserve whatever. So we need to learn how to move politically because everybody else is. But yet, we're the ones that they'll try to deem as we're messing up property and everything like that. Even though that most of the businesses have business insurance for, I guess, when this thing happens. But people, like in mass media or whatsoever, will try to say, "OMG, that outrage! They're actually going around. They stealing the nice Gucci Gabbana shoes and everything like that." I'm not. I'm just on paraphrasing, but you see the point that I'm trying to get across.
Sorry about that, Don. Sorry about that. I had to go grab something really quickly, man. My charger was about to die on this laptop. Had to go get it.
Hey, I feel you on that. It's that as soon as you block, there was like a car that was blasting music for some reason. I'm like, really? I can't wait until my new room is actually made and soundproofed and everything like that, and then I could really start streaming and all that stuff. So that's
Right.
what I'm gonna try. That's what I'm gonna try to do. Hopefully, like around October, November, etc.
So let
So
me ask
therefore,
you
I
a
could
quick.
actually. All
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry. I mean to interrupt. I was just going to say I wanted to ask you a quick question. With you originally being from the Bronx and moving to Philly, and in some ways, is Philly similar to New York, or is completely different?
I mean, it got its similarities as far as New York, but then it got its own differences. Like for example, um, transit in Philly is much slower than New York.
Mhm.
And like say when it goes, like for example, the trains won't be really running at night, but in New York the trains will be running at night. And
Mhm.
then the buses, if I was to actually catch a bus, I'll have to wait an hour, like say in the midnight or whatever, to catch the next bus. So therefore, transit is a little bit slower here. I don't know if they do this on purpose or whatsoever. And me going back and forth from New York and everything like that, it seems that I never left home, so to say, because whenever I go to the Port Authority, there's a lot of people sleeping, just like the drug addicts in Kensington.
Yeah.
And then when I go back to Philly, I see people who are still sleeping on the floor. So therefore, it's like it has its similarities,
Mhm.
but that it has its differences. Like for example, you're not going to hear a lot of New Yorkers. I guess maybe just because they listen to Meek Mills now, everybody wants to say John. But the thing is, though, it's just that certain in Philly they overuse that word. So it's like it's its similarities, but as far as architecture and everything like that, it is it is way different. It's hard to explain, but then when you go to the Bronx, and then when you actually go to Philly, it's like Philly it will have more houses, and the Bronx will have more buildings. And Queens, don't get me wrong, they have houses in the Bronx, but like in Philly, it's like more houses that may look like the Bronx, but then it doesn't because Philly got like its own architecture, etc. So architecturally speaking, is actually different from New York.
Right.
So
So pretty much, man, this whole situation, that's pretty much we stuck in between a rock and a hard place, man. We really are. Like, but as far as the riding and all of that go, that
Hey, what's
does.
up? Hey, doing? Mi hermano dominicano. ¿Cómo estás?
yo bien y usted.
Ah,
That's
qué bueno.
that's Zacharias.
Zacarías, you know I
Yep.
can write.
Hey, what's up,
So,
Zacharias? How you doing, man?
I'm okay, 18 there. What's up?
Nothing much, man. I can't call it.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm here to talk to Don Armando. Hello, can I? Oh, dang. I'm outside. Um,
Hey Don, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna exit out for a minute. I'm gonna be back in a few minutes.
All right, bet.
Okay.
okay.
All right.
All right, what's up, mi
So
hermano?
Zach,
Yeah.
I'm just doing a little bit live about the situation in Philly, concerning the unalivement of Eddie Irizarry and the cops who got his case dismissed because of it.
Hold on, let me get back because there are people playing this Japanese out loud. I'm outside. Hold on.
All right, bet.
Hold on. Okay, so dang, they show up bumping that music here in this up the area. Okay, all right. So what I was saying is that okay, what you saying?
I was saying that I was talking because there was riots in Philly yesterday. Because
Oh, I heard
the
about the
cop, he
riot.
got his charge. Yeah, he got his charges dismissed.
Oh, okay. I haven't read on the story lately about the riot happening in Philly, so I want to make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I
Okay,
might have to send you the video in the background whatsoever.
huh?
So yeah. So Hebrew Line, he was asking about you.
I saw he said that I was hiding. I wasn't hiding. I got. Let me address Hebrew line, bro. I got things going on, more important things in social media trash. So I gotta take care of important things, and then later on talk about things on social media.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it was and it was funny because the other I was telling that Hebrew like what this idiot was doing because we're not.
Oh,
It's like this. We're not gonna mention the idiot's name because
right. We
he
don't want
has
to.
no promote. He has no promotion on my channel.
Some
So
promotion. What?
that exactly he has no promotion on my channel. So we're not gonna give it to him anyway. But the crap that he was saying was the same stuff that Atlan and Hebrew warned us about. You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, this guy's a sap, straight up. I'm like, how pitiful can you be? He's like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and then this guy one up and says that he talks to you. I was first
Okay.
of all, like, who wants to talk to you out of everybody, right? And then
Right.
second of all, you going around saying that you're gonna go and do this and do X, Y, Z. I'm like, get a life, bro. Straight up.
Well, the feds should know his accounts back in summertime. So remember, I do snitch to the feds. So they do track who they
Right.
are, whether it be in New York or Jersey, where Whitney Houston's from. They need to chill or leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? While they having a middle age crisis, while they, and supposed to have a good life, you need to worry about the good life they have, they might lose that good life. I didn't say good life as in any threats, they talking about good life of financial status. That's all I gotta say. Because sometimes people who do these type like all the Karens and Kevins, just because this person of color don't mean a Karen Kevin consequences ain't gonna happen to them. That's all I gotta say. So, but yeah, that yeah, and also too, the person mentioned that some communication that me and this person have. First, I don't have this person's phone number, and we don't talk. Last time that I had any kind of communication with this person was on the stream yard back in New Year's, and I told his behind off. Just like I had to tell somebody else off yesterday. But this person was not Dominican, he was Mexicano. So yeah, the Spanish
Got you.
chill came out of me. I'm not gonna mention the detail because I probably tell you the rest of the story happened yesterday. But I told
Yeah,
this
you told me that. Yeah.
bandito wanna be well, he is a thug, trying to talk to me yesterday morning, and I told his behind off on his block. So I'm gonna leave that alone. This is some local shit. Oh, sorry, I'm in cuss. I'm in local mess. Sorry, because in channel. Sorry.
Got you. I mean, it's for it's for adults anyway. So if it goes for children, I guess it would be, you know,
We
you would get in trouble, but it's not.
we
So,
we, we can talk about that old heifer that old hood rat that old hood rat that looked like a drag queen version of George Lopez on Sunday morning.
oh God,
Tell me,
oh gosh, that's that's too horrifying a story. To just to even imagine that a person that looks like a version of George Lopez. I mean, not for nothing. That's like the most dude. That's like wow.
she a dark
Okay,
person in
so
town. She called me the N
okay,
word,
so
and she older, but
right,
I told her behind off. I'm using clean
got you,
words. I told
got you.
you want everybody to
Oh,
hear the
but
story?
nah.
That is
But
entertaining. I ain't
Hebrew,
gonna
but
cuss.
yeah, but Hebrew line is saying that Shadow Band 33 is the one that doxed Iceman Warrior.
I don't want to mention anything about that person because back in December, remember?
Right,
I don't want to mention that person. That person
got you,
is extremely satanic. We know that.
got
So,
you. Right,
because your friend, that's has a stream that we and him but beat last year. He was
right,
behind the scene, right? Ecuadorian and Dominican guy. Yeah, I'm leaving it alone.
yeah, got you. I mean, I guess that is apparent, but what what I was saying that if you was Hebrew, that if you want like if you join my channel, it's just some new info came tonight, so I'm not gonna go early and say nothing because it's just something that we know, and it's funny because it's stuff that it's stuff that is very pitiful for a guy for an idiot that actually claims to be a alpha male. So let's put it like this. Now for real though, let's put it like this. I had a I had a guest right here that actually um said something, and she actually put it on TikTok that that what that individual likes to do. So what she was trying to get this person into their group, the racist group that they have on TikTok and their cults following whatsoever. So lo and behold, this dastardly individual decided to go and send this young. I don't know if she's affluent, but I could say that she's very intelligent. This young intelligent woman a picture of his beef. Like at the end of the day, nobody wants to see that unless if the woman asks for it. But if you're gonna go around and send all these unsolicited pics, and you're supposed to be of the same age as you, one thing I gotta say is that they like yo, that's not some alpha male stuff right there.
Well,
Shout out to Ann. How you doing?
the thing is that if you do that, if you are a middle age like myself, you're supposed to keep that private, and it's supposed to be a mutual agreement between you and that woman. It's not supposed to be let me send my thing out to some random woman, not knowing she could have ties to the feds? Could it have ties to? I mean, that's just immature as possible. And then, like I say, it's weird. This person has, has,
All right, so
um,
all right,
the
so Ayo Honda, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
hello, how you
That's
doing?
good.
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah, we're chilling because it's like we're talking about the police brutality that happened here in my city, Philadelphia, and how they dismissed the cop. So therefore, it's like they rioted yesterday. I don't know if they rioted tonight, but a lot of people are actually unhappy with the verdict.
Mm.
He's Puerto Rican, right? The victim, right? The Latino dude was Puerto Rican.
Yes, he was Puerto Rican, sadly.
Okay, so I have to do some research on that case because I got so many cases in my, me. I got so many stories and cases in my head. I haven't got the certain things that you and I have been talking about. Some situations. I ain't gonna go in detail of that. Some legal situation with
Got
somebody else.
you.
Yeah, but yeah, and I'm in having my own issues.
Yeah.
Had
Right.
had
Yeah.
snitch on some
So
dirty
yeah.
people.
So Ayo Halu,
Hmm.
how's everything to you? How's your weekend and everything like that?
It's been good. Yeah, by the grace of God, I've been doing good. So, yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, I got back to the city from upstate and I got to hold my nephews and I love them both. I love being an auntie. So,
Uh
Yeah.
oh.
I was in upstate not too long ago. Me and my wife we went to her cousin's wedding, like near Schenectady. So
yeah, that's slightly
so it
farther
was
up from me, but
yeah,
yeah.
Hold on.
yeah, Schenectady, Albany area. So me and my wife and my brother-in-law we stayed at an Airbnb in Troy. So Troy, when you actually go to Troy, it feels like you're in a sitcom. Literally, that's how quiet and nice it is.
Well, I'm always scared that a lot of these places, with everything that is going on, right, and the mass exodus that's happening in the city, like a lot of these places are cool. And so many people realize that these places are better to live in. So everybody starts mass migrating to these places and then they fuck it up. Like they bring all their fuckery to those places and then the locals get mad and they're like, y'all, stop coming here. Because I see that happening a lot in certain parts of upstate New York. Like even Beacon, which is a lot further south than Albany, but relative to New York City is still upstate. Like Beacon is becoming the new Manhattan. And so I'm just wondering, like when I look at,
Okay, so it's becoming the new Manhattan in a good way or in a bad way.
and they say in a good way, but like I'm just anticipating, I'm like, for how long is that going to continue before all the, you know, rats from the city start going up there. Like I look at the migratory patterns, right? Like it's happening in Puerto Rico, it's happening in Hawaii, it's happening in Florida, where
Okay.
so many people are like, "Yo, we need New Yorkers and Californians to like stop moving here. Y'all are ruining it for us." So it's just I hope that Beacon, I hope these places upstate just stay really nice because I would love to retire there. I don't want to retire in the city for sure. I don't think I'll be able to if I wanted to unless I made a six-figure salary. Um but I just with
Yeah.
the way I see a lot of migratory patterns where people are kind of messing things up in places that used to be nice. It's like record numbers of people want to move there because everyone realizes how nice it is, and then because now everybody wants to live there, it's like then it turns into shit, and I just don't want that to happen to upstate New York. Like I still upstate New York still has a special place in my heart. Because I went to college there and everything, so it's still
All
nice, but
right.
I already see how drastically it has changed because when I used to live upstate, like, and this was back when I was like 13 or 14, right? Like, you would see a
Right.
car go by, like, my parents' house, like, every half hour. Now you see a car go by, like, every 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it's really
Wow.
becoming more, yeah, it's really becoming more populated and it's becoming a little bit more urban, although it still has that, suburban feel to it, but it's getting crazy because I'm hearing a lot of people are leaving the city to move further up, and it's just like, how much longer is that gonna last before, you know, they ruin that too?
This is what I'm thinking is going to happen with this immigrant situation. With people crossing the border and everything like that. I'm gonna say that I have somebody in my personal life that actually crossed the border from the Dominican Republic. So they did that with their family. So kudos to that person. I'm not gonna mention their name because I don't know how it is on how certain people are doing investigations, etc. So that's why I'm not gonna put that person's name out there. But kudos to him because he actually got to see his first Dominican parade in New York, and I guess he liked it, and I guess he loved it. So that's one thing I gotta say.
I was gonna say to the young the lady over there. Can I mention that the real reason why the city goes down, like for example, when people move in, well, they know the people who have the they let the criminals come there. Usually, okay, those areas that's upstate New York or suburban, like it's mostly, and I'm not to mention the R race, mostly of the Caucasian people. So when people of color move in, and I'm talking about good people of color, not the hood rat type. The idea that people don't want to see a person of color, they're playing music. God dog it. They playing okay. I'm sorry, God dog, he was so bad. Who that she is, but man, that music. Okay, so point is, what I'm saying is that yeah. So when they bring they know they bring in thugs and hood rats up in there to destroy it. The idea to see a person of color trying to make it is not what they want to see unless you're an agent of white supremacy. It's on time they'll do that. So if you of color moving into a uppity white area, they're gonna make sure that you mess up. You know what I'm saying? And that's so they don't like that because they make those areas like the green lining and red lining. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole reason why. Because like I say, I'm from H Town, so in Harris County, and I saw that growing up in the '80s, where if you was of color, they integrate in the white area, they move out. The white people that got all resources move out, and then they become most of color, and they bring all thugs, hood rats, cholo thug rats, the cholo rats and cholo thugs, or then, and they start becoming like lean on me. You know what I'm saying? That's what you know what I'm saying. My school didn't come like lean on me. Like we had gangsters, we had cholo thugs and stuff in the '90s. But before that, in the '80s, it was mostly white, a few criminal areas, and it was mostly white with some Latino and people African descent, a different skin tone, hair textures, and all. We mixed up some different complexions and everything. So that's what we had. But other than that, we didn't. But when it became mostly Latino, the white people in our
Right.
area left, took all the
Mm-hmm.
resources. The crime went
Got you.
be yeah.
But I don't think
Yeah.
it's as much, a color thing. I think it's a class thing because a lot of the people, as long as you could be a person of color, but if you're somebody that has a good job, if you're someone that has good credit, if you're somebody that blends in, so to speak, I don't think it matters as much. I think maybe back then color was more prevalent. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all. I'm not an idiot who thinks racism magically went away. I just think that if there's one color that matters more than anything nowadays is the color green. Like when you have money, you're welcomed anywhere and as long as you behave. But I just feel like I just get scared all I just get scared because I don't know what it's going to turn into by the time I want to move up there. I mean, and I may not be able to anymore. You know what I mean?
I want
Like
to speak on that.
people didn't hype up the suburbs any like the way they used to. I'm telling you, like I see the difference. I see everybody moving up more north, and and this happens in New York City constantly. Every time there's a cataclysmic disaster, like it happened after 9/11, it's happening now after COVID. Everybody has this mass exodus where they leave, they move further north. Then when things go back to normal, everyone starts moving to the city again. I don't know. I love the city for right now because I think nothing compares to the cultural diversity that is here. It is completely unparalleled than it is when I go up there. What I do like about being up there though, that it is a little quieter. It's not as overwhelming. The air smells cleaner. I do hate that you need a car everywhere, though. That's the thing that stinks. But like, what I do hate about the city is it just feels dirtier. Like I don't know what it is. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's so different to take the MTA in an underground smelly subway versus taking the Metro North and you see like the Hudson River and you see like the beautiful foliage, and especially with the fall coming up. I do like that. But I do got to say, if there's one thing that I still love about the city above all, it's just the cultural diversity of it all. Like there's everybody and there's
Got
everything. And
you.
yeah, and there's just, I feel like, and I notice what people say about the city, right? In the city, people are not nice, but they are kind. Whereas in the suburbs is the opposite. You know what I mean? And I think me and Don, we spoke about this before a while back. Like here in the
Yes.
city, people are not fake. They won't like care about you like that. But when we go hard and we have your back, we really have your back. You know what
Oh,
I mean? I know when I
Yes.
was struggling, and listen, I'm not proud. I'll put this out there and people can use it against me if they want to. When I used to be in a homeless shelter, like there were some women that were petty and catty or whatever, but I'll never forget, and I call them my shelter moms, like women that really took me under their wing and just protected me. Like while I was struggling, like they would, sneak in food for me, like to their lockers, and they would feed me, like if I would come home late from work or whatever. Like, what I mean? Like just little things like that. Like people didn't have a lot, but like we were all struggling together, and like there was a sense of a camaraderie. You know what I mean? Like when I got my paycheck and
Right.
I ate good, I would share with my, roommates. Like it was just like a family. And like it sucks because I kind of lost track of some of these women, but like for the time that I knew them, they really like when they got their check on the first, they would help me out. Like it's just really cool. Like they're not nice to you, but once you get people's trust in the city, people really ride and die for you. You know what I mean? Like there's this camaraderie
Yes.
that
That's
I
yeah.
really
Yeah. That's
love.
a fact.
You got to earn it, but once
I'm
you're in, bro, it's nothing like it.
nah,
Like there's just a culture in the city that I like here that's more real.
I wanted to speak.
exactly.
Is this AD from the last
Yes, it is.
oh, shout out to you, AD. Shout out to
Hey,
you.
hey.
Like what you were saying, like with the whole race thing, like you definitely right. Class definitely plays a part into it, but it's like unfortunately class is intertwined with race. So like when you look at what's going on right now, because the same thing is going on in my city is going on all over where a lot of the people can no longer afford, they're being pushed out. And this really happened in my city when they tore down the housing projects, when they tore down all of the towers and they started gentrifying. That was the beginning of gentrification. Over on the north side, I didn't grow up on the north side, I grew up on the south side, but on the north side where Cabrini Green was,
I'm sorry. Where you from again? Where you? If
I'm
you
from
don't mind.
Chicago,
Okay,
Illinois.
Southtown.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago. So and if anybody remember Candyman, the movie Candyman, which was filmed in Cabrini Green, you go up there and it doesn't look you would have never known there was projects over there. In some places they've built up everything, they gentrify everything, and pretty much like, and that's like I've seen the suburbs change here, like in areas like Calumet City, Dalton, Illinois, different places like that. I can remember in the early 90s going out to visit my grandmother when her and one other lady was the only two black families on that block. And as time went on, they gave Section 8 to people from the projects out there. And then all of the resources they packed up, took the resources with them and left because it's an intricate scheme that's around. Like if people of color move into different areas, the property value lows. And it's been that way since um the beginning when they constructed the way things, how they operate amongst things. And pretty much when you look at what's going on, even with the migrants, what's going on is
Right.
that they need people here to that's not really going to challenge what they got going on. They need people, they create situations of desperation and then act like that they're saving you from the desperation that they created. So now you have people, with destabilized governments coming to the United States where they're able to get housing and aid and different things like that. And they're gonna be the ones that work a lot of these jobs that they don't want to pay people the proper wages to work, and they're
All
gonna,
right.
undermine a lot of other people. But people never pay any attention to the government or the officials. They always get mad at the people, which is a problem within itself because people don't critically think enough to.
All right. All right. So I have a question to ask you, and since I don't live in Chicago or anything like that, how was the environment in Chicago at the time during this mayor Lori Lightfoot? Because I heard that she had protests, etc. every day. So how was the environment was like? Because I heard that she recently just left, or they just kicked her out of being a mayor. How's her administration in Chicago?
Are you talking about Lightfoot?
Yeah, Lightfoot. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, Lori Lightfoot. Well, I mean, I think she inherited a negative situation because really what it comes down to is that they don't want to put the proper resources and funds into these impoverished areas. And like they always try to make it seem like Lori Lightfoot, in my personal opinion, people they can say what they want about her. She wasn't, if you ask me, the dailies was worse. The dailies was worse. The dailies had they was involved in crime. They had connections to the mob, and Mayor Daley Senior, his son Junior ran Chicago for a very long time. But Mayor Daley Senior, he was a street gang. He was a gang member and everything else before he became the mayor. And they had heavy connections to the mob, and they mostly looked out for the Irish and other people within the city of Chicago. So she, in my personal opinion, I think that she wasn't the best mayor, but she wasn't the worst either. Because when it comes down to it, a lot of people they don't want to give these resources to these impoverished communities because they need the communities to stay impoverished so they can exploit them for crime. Like crime is like I was saying earlier, crime is a business. Um, uh like these working these low wage jobs where you're not going to pay anybody anything. That's a business within itself. All of this stuff, man, just like what y'all had over there in Philly, Don, that what was she, the commissioner or something, that the black lady that was the cop that stepped down,
Yeah. Yeah. The police. Yeah. And
and
then
she
on
stepped
top of
down
it,
because she stepped down because she didn't want to be used as a scapegoat. They was literally waiting
I
to
mean,
use her as a scapegoat
yeah,
for
yeah,
all of the.
because it's Krasner and Kenny, from what I'm hearing and stuff. Because it's funny, I was living in Philadelphia for 2 years, right? And I kid you not, I did not know who the mayor was. I did not know who the DA was, right? So right now, everybody in who lives in Philly, I guess, because of whatsoever, some people like it, some people don't. Certain people they blame Krasner and they blame Jim Kenney for the problems that goes on in Philly, etc. But yet, I guess it's an internal problem because I've seen people in Philly when it regard to the street or blocks that have problems with each other. It's like it's not like, okay, yeah, we have a block problem and that's it. Now I guess because drill involved, that's why a lot of these young men are being unalive throughout the city. It's not like as much from all the other times when people were losing their lives and everything like that. Because I guess the crime rate kind of went down, but it's just that with certain things, it's just that you can see the problems right there. And then what an OG told me from Philadelphia was like, okay, the reason why I'm living in Philadelphia is
you muted yourself.
Yeah, Don, can't hear you, brother. Can't hear you.
Can't hear it, bro.
Well, but until he comes back, this is the same thing. Once you're able to understand the way these systems work and how these pretty much is designed for them to eat the poor and exploit the poor. You able to understand systems like all over. Because I mean, when you look at literally what's going on, because I believe last time AD, I think you and Don spoke about the situation on the island of Hispaniola between DR and Haiti.
Uh-huh.
And when you look at, like, I've seen the videos, right, of people from Haiti rushing the border
Hmm.
to get over to, the DR side of Hispaniola. And when you look at those footage, and then you look at the footage of people from Honduras and Venezuela rushing the borders here in the United States, it's the same exact thing. It's the same things. These governments are only concerned about their pockets, and they're using people to exploit them for cheap labor so they don't have to pay people a livable wage. And meanwhile they're pocketing the money while everybody else is fighting each other.
But
I mean, if you,
what is the antidote to all of this though? Because on one hand, I don't want to be a part of the problem and have this back and forth with my neighbors, right? As I'm Dominican, like Don is, but it's hard because it's similar to even the migrant problem here. It's like I have a bleeding heart and I want to help out as many people as possible, but there's also constraints that we have to worry about because
exactly.
if our government can barely keep us afloat, if we're struggling as people who've been here forever with a livable wage, with controlling crime, with, making sure like the freaking everything is going up, right? The trains are now 290. They used to be 275 for the longest. Now it's 290. And I bet in another 3 years it'll be
Wow.
315 or whatever. Like we're struggling as it is. We're struggling with inflation. We're struggling with jobs. So it's like I don't want to turn people away, but at the same time, it's like where do we find the balance between being sensible but also being compassionate? You know what I mean? I don't want to turn away all of my neighbors, but we also have to acknowledge that there is some good coming in with the bad. And so how do we build a system where we can filter out, the good from the bad? And how do we put people on their feet so that they don't have to keep coming here? Because I'm sorry, like the United States, we can't help everyone. The DR back home, I wish we could help all of our neighbors, but we can't. I mean, the government
No,
can
no,
barely
that's
sustain
understandable.
Dominicans.
That's understandable, and
So
everything.
where do I
I,
find
I,
that
I
happy
mean,
medium?
No,
I
everything that
mean,
you're
this is
saying
one.
is accurate. I don't know if we can really come to a medium because the government doesn't have anybody's best interest at heart. And like what you
I
were saying,
mean, if you,
oh, go ahead, Don. My bad.
one thing I have to say, which a lot of people don't understand, right? Like, okay, I remember when it was like around 2012 or so, right? When it was like maybe 2 or 3 years after hur- the hurricane that affected Santo Domingo, right? So you had all these people who might have visited Dominican Republic once or whatever. They were talking about, oh, this, that, and the third that happened to the Haitian people. Okay, but then it's like the Europeans and whatsoever, the outside forces within that are trying to tell Dominican Republic, you better do this, you better do that. And the major problem is the UN in the Dominican Republic because they now going around trying to tell the Dominican government, you got to do this, you got to do that, and everything. And it's like Dominican Republic has its challenges as it is, right? We don't need the United Nations to go around and tell us what to do when we're actually trying to do the challenges. And it's to the point that you have certain people who are just fed up. But I'm not saying that like as anything, but we're just talking about all the all those stuff that people have been saying against Dominicans. Because I know that there's I know that there's stuff that that within the Dominican culture that is good, and with stuff within the Dominican culture which we need to work on. But then what makes it worse is that you have certain people who act like that they're defending Dominican Republic when the fact is they really have their own agendas. And Anna, she knows what I'm talking about. Lucas knows what I'm talking about,
You,
and
you know,
Zacharias
you know,
knows
I
what I'm
know what
talking
you're
about.
talking about. I know who you're talking about. I
No,
know.
Yeah,
no,
I
no.
know.
We're talking.
I know who you're
We're
talking
talking
about.
about
And
several.
he
We're
oh,
talking
that
about
person
several
makes
individuals.
these
Yeah.
people make my stomach hurt.
Oh.
I had to take a
I
break
was
from
around.
TikTok.
Yeah, they was here on YouTube before they made it to TikTok, and I know exactly who you all are talking about. And I was around, and those people. The funny thing that used to get me, they was like blatantly racist, like blatantly, but they always used to try to hide it behind patriotism. It was funny. It was funny.
What's happening what's happening with those Dominican nationalists is exactly what is going on with white supremacists here in Trump, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
for a long, it's basically a bunch of people who have some legitimate grievances, right? And they're taking those grievances and they're misdirecting their frustration. And
That's true.
I'm scared that those Dominican nationalists, I don't want them to represent the rest of us. And I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
frustrated because a lot of us normal Dominicans who are not like that are not doing enough to give these people pushback. And I had to take a break from TikTok because, some of the leaders who are a part of that movement, they're saying all these things, blaming all our problems on Haiti. And they're taking that tragedy that happened with that family in DR that got unalived by, I'm assuming, Haitian GANGSs, right? They're taking that
Right.
tragedy and they're using it as a way, they're using that as a soapbox to justify their already anti-Haitian bias. Blame the people who
Mm-hmm.
did it. Don't blame an entire country. Most Haitians are victims, right? They flee because they're scared too, right? You have GANGSs that are basically infesting that country, and most of them come here because they want a better life, for their future children. They don't want to be a part of all of that that's going on, and I totally get it. And I used to argue with these nationalists on, TikTok. They're saying, well, we're tired of being called racist because, we have a right to protect our borders and we simply don't have the means. And they're using up our resources and they're bringing crime, right? Just
Exactly
like
right. Can you
Trump when
mute up,
he was
bro?
saying
Mute up.
Mexicans were rapists. It's
No.
the same rhetoric. And
Okay.
I'm here telling them, and I'm going to finish because I don't want to monopolize the
Yeah,
convo.
because I want.
I kept telling these people, listen, I get what you're saying, but there is a way to say that. There is a way to say, listen, we are not against Haitians coming over, but there has to be a way to do it. There has to be a way to filter who's coming in and out of our borders. We have the right as a sovereign nation to protect our national security. But that's not what they're saying. What I'm hearing is things like, oh, we need another Trujillo. We need another Parsley massacre where Trujillo murdered a ton of Haitians. And they're bringing back this dangerous revisionist history. Like, imagine a German saying we need Mittler. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to get banned. Imagine Germans saying,
Right,
"Oh,
you.
we miss Mittler." Like, you know what I mean? There's a way to defend our country's, right to our migratory laws and
Uh,
safety
yeah.
without saying that xenophobic crap. And just because I say that, I got
It's
ousted as
funny.
a traitor to Dominicans.
Yo. This is one thing that I have to say too, right? Because
Don Armando.
since you and I, Anna, are both from the same town, meaning that your family, I guess you're from there, but my family's from there also. When I went up and I said like to one of these races that I'm a coco to these nationalist races, whatever the heck you could call them, that I'm a cocolo dominicano, and I said that where I'm from. The next thing you know, we got into a whole argument about that, and we dissed each other and stuff, and then you know it is what it is, and that's what which that was the start to a great enemyship, if you could just say what it is.
Can
So
I?
my thing, all right,
I mean interrupt because I was gonna say something. That's why I didn't mute 18 because I was trying to respond to the sister, the Dominican sister here. Okay, this is the anti-blackness in the Dominican American or Dominican community is no shock to me. Because of course Dominicans and Mexicans are not the same, but they're both Latino Hispanic. So I see this mess here in Texas. So when I see the people you're talking about who are Dominican who are not Mexican doing this mess, it's another version of it. You know what I'm saying? And also I knew a girl back in the 90s who went to Kashmir. She about Don Armando's age. Um, she told me she was Kashmir in the hood, Kashmir high school, and she told me and she lived in the Dominican Republic. Her cousin sings a Mexican band. He's Dominican Mexican. Anyway, So she told me back in '90s, and I met in 2002 again. That in DR they don't like Mexicans and don't like African American people. They're back in the '90s. At back in high school, she told me that. So I even talked to her since 2002. Hope she's doing okay. But anyway, as I was saying, um, but I'm not shocked. This so people in the United States think of the more African presence of the Latin countries like Dominican Republic or Cuba or either the region of Puerto Rico owned by the United States. They think there's no anti-blackness. That's not true. The anti-blackness goes in those areas too. So that's the reason why. But I'm not shocked about that. About the what you see with amongst Dominican races, Dominican, should I say? So we have Mexican version of that here in Texas, and
All right.
yeah. But I want to also address too.
Yo.
Oh, oh, oh! I want can I address something to the lady? I want to say something. I'm trying to fall back. I forgot everything she was saying. You was saying that you don't want to respect to represent you. That's why you have to practice individualism, not collectivism. Talking about the people as a whole. So that's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I get it, but I feel like
Uh,
if we don't give enough pushback to people pushing these dangerous ideologies, then we are going to get cleaned up with the crap. We are going to get
yeah,
cleaned up
I
with the
know.
crap. And that's what I don't want. And that's exactly, and I get what you mean by collectivism, but I understand how these things operate. The dangerous ideas, if they're not nipped in the bud, they spread. And then by the time people react, it's too late. And I'm not trying to get it to that point. You understand? Because this
All right.
butthole that me and Armando are talking about, he's got 3.3K followers on TikTok. And that's disgusting. He goes on these lives and they send him all this money to talk all this smack. And they just sit there and all they do is whine about Haiti. They whine about how, oh, us Dominicans are not anti black, but then they say anti black crap. And then the people that call them out that are Dominican, they call us vende patrias, which means you're a sellout.
I've heard that.
Okay. So they're
They're
like
sellout.
they're not just trolls. See, I used to laugh it off. I used to think, they're just a bunch of trolls. These stupid, mango eating retards are not. I'm sorry, these idiots are not going to be, relevant in a few years. But they're growing in number, and I'm hearing their anger because I used to go in there under fake profiles and listening to their BS, and they believe what they're saying, and it's scary.
Yeah,
and
that's
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't you can't wait until they amass an arsenal to finally fight back, because then it'll be harder. That is why I'm trying to give them as much pushback as possible, because
Right.
if I don't, then people are going to think, oh, most Dominicans do think like this, because why are the good ones silent? And I refuse to be painted with that brush.
And
Right.
with what
Can
you're saying too, AD, is crazy because I've seen people turn online. I've seen people get, brainwashed into believing a certain narrative. And even with the individual that you're speaking about, from what I've heard, he wasn't like that originally. I don't know
He's
what trans.
getting punch drunk on the power and the clout that he's getting, because he is feeding off of the somewhat tiny bit of truths of nuggets of the frustrations of Dominicans, right? A lot of them, he's speaking to the Dominicans who are tired of the Godfrey joke. He's speaking to the Dominicans who are tired of being told that because they want stronger border security, that they're automatically anti-Haitian. He's taking some legitimate frustrations and he's exploiting the crap out of it, just like Trump did with the frustrated, working, blue collared white person. Right? They're taking what started out as nuggets of truth, and I see some of the frustration, but the way that they're responding to it is not appropriate. The way you respond to the Haiti situation is not by saying we need another Trujillo. That is disgusting. You don't say shit like that. We don't need another Trujillo. It's one thing to say, listen, we need a better leader than the one we have.
Mhm.
Fine. It's one thing to say we should not be called xenophobic and racist because we want strong borders. Fine. But that's not what they say. They say crap like, oh, we are tired of these voodoo, smelly, these mother effers who can't even conquer deodorant but want to conquer our side of the land. They say dumb crap like that. And that is what's
That
disgusting.
yeah.
Not
I
not.
want
But you want to know.
Can I ask a quick
But you
question
want
real
to know.
quick, John? I just wanted to ask AD, I was just gonna say with AD and the brother Costa Dynasty. If you all sometimes too, I do live streams on my channel. Don actually comes over there, but I understand that a lot of these conversations can get intense and different things like that. But if you guys ever want to stop by my channel, sometimes we have serious conversations. Sometimes we have, just conversations reminiscing on old
Oh
music,
yeah, of course.
different things like that.
I would love to,
Uh,
but not on TikTok because I'm
Oh,
on a
no.
hiatus.
I'm on
Definitely.
YouTube.
no,
I'm on
no, no,
YouTube.
Okay,
it's on
yeah, because
YouTube.
I'm on a hiatus from TikTok because the butthole that we're talking about, his digital deep throaters are trying to get my account banned. So
Mhm.
I got to be
And,
cool.
can I
Got you.
introduce AD?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you know why these racist Dominicans are getting support, right?
I don't know. I would love to know because
Okay,
it's
I got the
wild,
answer.
wild.
Because they're linking with other anti-black Latinos who are not Dominican, like the ones from
But
Mexican
see,
and
That's
Puerto
that's
Rican.
bullshit because a lot of these anti-black people don't even care about us Dominicans too, and they see us as black too. So they
Mm,
really look stupid. All right,
right,
they got
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
mad.
yeah, yeah. Yep. But this is one thing I'm going to elaborate on what Zacharias is saying, and it's funny, right? And even Acosta could actually I don't know if he's in the I don't know if he's could speak, but me and him we actually have put the link on some of these guys on how they actually linking up with other Latino races that
mm-hmm,
actually have the same thing, but yet their whole agenda is to bring white supremacy. What a lot of
right,
people are not seeing is what a lot of people are not seeing with the fart bag that we're talking about is that he's using the frustrations of Dominicans, but yet in his own warped mind and in another warped mind too. You know, the Dominican screamer from 2020 is that they actually want to make Dominican Republic the next Argentina.
mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly.
Yes. And also can
Yeah.
I interject as well? Okay, so to respond to the Dominican sister. Okay, so what? Okay, I understand that some of these don't look black but have secret black blood, like AKA it goes from Mexican descent. But I know about that secret having African ancestry to keep it undercover. But it's claiming mestizo, but some put white on the application, not all, but the ones you're talking about. But no, since even though DNA test is not real, and when it comes to race is entertainment value, but it's showing proof there was African ancestry in Mexico, right? So they
Yep.
can't actually hate themselves. You know what I'm saying? So they link with other Latinos who do have a similar mixture as them do. It's just that Dominican Republic has more African presence than Mexico do because Jose Cancelos, the
Mhm.
Raspacasca messed that up, okay, in Mexico. But what they're doing is linking up with other Latinos who are Mexican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Dominican, Salvadoran. This happened to me. And that's how my channel got taken out. Okay. Linking up to put white supremacy into the movement. That's exactly what they're doing. And actually, this goes right back to the Helio, but you forgot about Jose Vicencelos, the Raspacasca essay. That dude that made the Raspacasca essay in Mexico, he was free. He loved Hitler. Oh, sorry. He loved Adolf. Sorry. I don't know why I should get banned for saying that word, but anyway, he Nazi propaganda. He used spiritual eugenics. So that's what made Trujillo do what he did because that essay not only stopped the awareness of Afro Mexican heritage, but it went all over
What's up,
Latin America
Jose?
because do you know the real reason why they did that? Because they have any indication with any business in the United States. When the United States had the one drop rule, the one drop anti-black one drop rule in segregation, they was afraid that they showed their relatives that have black ancestry, the United States would not have no relationship with them when it comes to business. So they had to whiten in their eyes, they had to whiten Latin America in order to have business with the United States. That's why they had the Mejor Raza ideology. So now these young fools are now trying to bring that back, but it goes right back to grandma and abuelita and abuela who taught us. See, one thing folks don't go back is look at the elder in the family who told that young person that nonsense, and now they link you with other Latinos who are Dominican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Mexican, who have the same mentality. Not all like that, the ones who are like that.
Facts.
All right, so yeah, but now we have to let Lucas speak. Lucas, what's your own thoughts about this? I mean, and police brutality. What's your thoughts about it?
But to touch on the first topic of the white supremacy or white supremacists who disguise themselves as that, being Latinos, it's a whole bunch of nonsense. As I've said before, like it just makes no sense. Like, how do you think a country is going to move forward economically and politically and socially if you're trying to uphold something that just isn't going to work? It makes no sense. And like a part about it that I think I forgot who said this earlier is that at the end of the day, they're making themselves look bad and the Dominican Republic as a country look bad. And people are already thinking that like, oh, DR is super racist, when in reality it's not, Don, as we've talked about since we're from there. And I've met other Dominicans who are very friendly, very nice, but it seems like these people are starting to get a little bit of time, not too much momentum, but a little bit of momentum from other people who think just like them. And it just happens to be that these are the whiter looking Dominicans, or the ones who want to pass as white but really can't at the end of the day. So I think it's some BS. And the police brutality, I don't really have too much of an opinion on it, but I know for a fact that like I haven't really heard much about it lately. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, because what happened here in Philadelphia was that there was a special needs man that got killed, uh, unalived. Uh, I guess I have to work on that. He got unalived by the police, right? And it was to the point that they dropped the charges on this police officer that did that, and they actually and they showed video footage. I guess can I guess the the body cam footage of the police unaliving that special needs man, and everybody have said that it was a proper unalivement, but yet they dropped charges on this public servant. So what happened yesterday was that there was a mini riot and people were looting, etc., and they were videotaping it and whatsoever, and they were actually putting it on Instagram. You could actually check it out on Instagram. So it's just certain people are saying that they're trying to brace for some tonight, but I would not know unless about look on Instagram to see what's going on because
I
a
mean,
lot of
I
people
feel
are
like
actually unhappy.
these police brutality things are becoming as common as mass pew pewings. You get what I'm saying? It's like it's lather,
Uh,
rinse, repeat. You know what I mean? It's just like justice doesn't prevail like we want to. Like when it comes to mass pew pewings, right? It's always the same
right,
crap. It's always the same crap. Basically, we do thoughts and prayers. We have the same debate about gun control, not gun control, whether it's mental illness, and of course, it's only mental illness if the pew pewer is white. If the pew pewer isn't white, then it's terrorism or whatever. But it's we have the same conversations, and I feel like at this point it's like the same situation, different bodies, different victims, different specific details, different locations, but it's the same reactions, the same conversations, like with police brutality. If the police is white and the person is a minority who got unalived, here we go with the let's figure out what criminal history the person had to justify their unalivement. Oh, they should have complied. Oh, we don't know. Let's not make this into a race issue just yet. Oh, the government is just trying to use race to divide us from. We have the same effing conversations, and I'm just starting to think like, are we living in a simulation? Because nothing is changing. Like I said, the bodies change, the names change, the locations change, but
The
the
argument's
conversations
the
are always the same, and I'm
same.
losing my damn mind.
You know
I
what,
know.
AD,
I know
you are
somebody.
so on point. You are so on point with that statement, and that's the same thing. It's just like that's when I came up to with the conclusion as I got older about crime being a business, because I can remember people marching with "Stop the Gun Violence" signs through my neighborhood since 1993, 94. And has nothing changed. Nothing has literally changed. Police brutality was worse in the 90s than it is now. It's just people think more and more stuff is going on. Well, first and foremost, another thing is if the media replays something over and over and over again, it'll make you'll have it in your mind that is more than what it is. And also at the same time that it's the fact that everybody got cameras now. So it seems like it's more, but this stuff has been going on. I can remember police officers taking people from my neighborhood, or like if they was upset with a particular person, like a young teenager or something, and dropping them off in a rival gang neighborhood. They used to do that here. They've been doing grimy stuff. I remember one of my relatives, a police officer hit him in the head with a flashlight, a metal flashlight, at the time when police used to carry those flashlights. And if you remember in the 90s, they used to carry the nightsticks that was made out of wood, and they used to carry those metal flashlights. He smacked him in the head with a flashlight. This stuff is not new.
And you know what they say? It's ACAB. All cops are bastards. Like, it's not. I used to feel a little bit safer if it was maybe black police officers or minority police officers. Nope, they're just as bad. They're
Heck
just as
I have
bad.
my run-ins with other black cops. They're just, yeah. They can because they think just because they the same race as you, they give them a notion to try to disrespect you. Some of them, yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Can
I've
I?
seen that. I've seen that also. All right. Well, before anybody, we have to let Don Jose speak. How you
Okay.
doing, Don Jose?
Well, first of all, good evening, Don Armando, and shout out to everyone in the panel and chat. Thank you very much for allowing me on the platform. Now, when it comes to police brutality, I mean, unfortunately, the reason why it seems more because of course, with social media, I mean, everyone has a camera on their phone. I mean, and the fact of the matter is, one of the big problems is that when it comes to the police, unfortunately, you have situations when you have people who should not be given the right and the privilege to carry a gun and a shield. Okay, and you gotta deal with those type of people, and and the fact of the matter is, whenever a cop does get out of line, the cop must take accountability for their actions, and they have to undergo the consequences of whatever actions they're taking. Unfortunately, when it comes to like policing the police, all of a sudden there's a big uproar. I disagree with the whole notion of defunding the police. I mean, what you need to do is they need to be accountable to society. It's the same thing with our military. Whenever someone in the armed forces, allegedly commits a crime, they're held accountable. We got to treat these policemen in the same way.
But it's
I
hard
mean,
when they live in a culture of, you know, we protect each other. We don't rat each other out. Because, and I've read articles about good cops that were ostracized for speaking up and trying to do the right thing. So when they create a sort of brotherhood, some people say that the police is like the new triple K, right? It's extremely hard in a culture. It's hard to hold these people accountable when the good ones that try to do so are completely excoriated and are practically blacklisted, right? And these bad cops that get away with it, at most maybe they get fired or whatever, but that means that they can't practice in their precinct. They just move up to a different precinct, and then they can
Absolutely.
start
They
over.
move into a
And we
different
don't.
town.
I feel like we should have a national registry of cops who behave bad, so that no matter where they go, people know what they come with, and they should just be banned from practicing. Period. They shouldn't just be banned from practicing in a particular state, but then they can go somewhere else and start afresh and
They should be
terrorize a
arrested.
new community.
They should be arrested too because it's official oppression. Because police brutality is against Fourth Amendment rights. I want to say the reason why they do the brutality and stuff. Slavery is not is transferred to the prison, right? 13th Amendment, right?
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
Okay.
That's true.
So when the slave was trying to run from the master, they used to get the slave catchers to get violent with the slave to keep them where they are because they know that each slave they have, they make money off that, right?
Yeah,
Just
the,
keep
the
going.
origins of the police is the slave patrol. They
Right.
origins come from the
Okay.
slave
So
America. Yeah.
the private prison complex it pays them a lot. All that shopping centers and banks and networks they contribute to. Even this rap music, Viacom contributes to. With Sukiyama and them, they contribute to. Sorry, um,
All right.
no, I had to look through that. Hold on.
Yeah, I think you have to mute up, Zach, because I don't know, it's too much noise. Yeah, yeah, I do
Yeah,
know that, and then on top of it,
I'm sorry. I had mute up because of the noise of the bus. Hold on.
all right,
Go to another part of the area so you won't be loud. Okay. So can you
right.
hear me now? All right. So
Yeah, we
much
hear
better.
you.
Yeah. So I'm outside. Okay. So the point is, I was saying is that yeah. So the reason why they act violent, they have money protecting them too. The reason why they don't tell each other, blue coat comes from Masonic Lodge. A lot of them belong to the Masonic Lodge. Yeah. So that's the whole reason why.
Yeah,
Oh Jesus. And I ain't trying to steer, trying to bet a white person driving that thing. Yeah. Yeah, they be driving crazy out here. As I was saying, as you racist, I got cream in my coffee. As I was saying, but no, for real, that everybody acting fool because the private prison complex paid them to act a fool, and they doing that building, they killing and I mean, they deleting, excuse me, and beating is for private prison complex behavior from slavery. So that's the whole reason why this goes on. 'Cause I thought about becoming a police officer myself, and I'm not trying to be whistleblower. But yeah, there's a book called "Walking with the Devil" by this former cop called Michael W. Quinn. He talked about good cops and bad cops. He worked the same what's the well, George Floyd people. George Floyd was deleted at, and so get that book. It tells you about what goes on in the police department, the corrupt stuff. But yeah, the real reason why they act a fool is because they're paid to just lock anyone up for a paycheck from the private prison complex because we make money based on like slavery. Since slavery built this country, well, this prison built this country, and that's why they control the rap music. We got the Sukiyama and the what's the name and Sexy Red acting a fool and in the what I'm saying the violent music. They contribute that. Okay, so that's the reason why.
My thing is, what do we, because a lot of us in this panel, I'm going to assume, are educated and we know a good chunk of what you did say. But now, where I feel helpless is, what do I do? Because you have two schools of thought. You have the, it is a system, it's systemic. We need to disrupt the system, eradicate it, and replace it from scratch. And then you have the people that say, no, we need to just stop committing crime. We need to stop glorifying a culture that pedestalizes thugs and blah blah blah. And I'm saying, okay, maybe it's a combination of both, but I don't want to think that I'm just playing both sides of the fence. So like, I'm just thinking to myself, and to tie it back, because we were talking about this Dominican nationalist thing too. I notice another reason why some of these Dominican nationalists also have a bad habit of being anti-black, and they have a bad habit of not understanding the history of what black people went through. Because a lot of them love to say, "Oh, well, we came to this country, whatever," and a lot of Mexican and other type of immigrants, and even African people, West Africans, right, other black people from different parts of the diaspora, they come to this country and they crap on black Americans, and they sit here and going, "Oh, lift yourself up by the bootstraps. This is a country where you can, be anything you want to be." But it's like, you've come to this country and you're able to enjoy some of the freedoms you have because of centuries and decades of black Americans losing their lives and fighting for their equal rights that you now get to take for granted and then tell them, "Oh, get over your plight." You were not around during the Tulsa massacre. You don't know what it's like to see your father swinging from a tree, all because he didn't, put his head down when he acknowledged a white man. You don't know, like, you have not dealt with all of these traumas. You don't know how epigenetic works. You guys came here in the 80s and 90s, and what did you have to deal with? Somebody calling you a beaner and telling you to go back to your country? And what? That does not compare to what the hundreds of years of oppression that black people went through, and the rights that we've had to secure so that the rest of you can come here and gaslight the black Americans and tell them, "Well, we did it. We came to this country with nothing and we built up ourselves up." You can't compare. And I get so effing tired of people having this tone deafness where they come to this country and they don't bother fucking picking up a book and learning about the 4 centuries of oppression that Black Americans went through. And that the reason why you can tell Black Americans, get over it, I came here with nothing and I have all of these whatever. Look up the model minority myth. How, America will allow certain privileged people who are already privileged from their countries to come here with money, with a visa, with a job, and then so that they can pit them up against poor Black people and then say, hey, look, this Black African made it, this person from Nigeria made it, so what's your excuse? Get over it. And they don't talk about the private, the prison, the school to prison pipeline. They don't talk about, redlining. They don't talk about, how the, medical industry is for Black women, what police is for Black men. They don't talk about all these things. You know what I mean? And it's like, y'all need to stop
Right.
coming to these countries and not fucking educating yourself about the history.
Yeah, I agree with you said. Can I
Yeah.
also? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. One thing I'm gonna say, because I went up and I made a talking about TikTok, right? I went up and I made a comment about, you know, about how certain people are hypocrites, but yet y'all y'all practice African religions, right? The ignorant blowback that I got right there, I was called from everything from an anti-Latino, people that did not understand my point, and then I was talking to a Dominican brother. This is what the nerve he had to say, which is actually historically incorrect, right? He was like, "Oh, y'all got y'all." He was saying as far as African Americans, he was like, as soon as y'all got out of slavery, you went up and you enslaved your own people. I'm like, what book you reading, bro? That's what I'm saying. Like, what book are you actually reading? That this
A lot of that is regurgitated, Don. They've heard somebody
Who said
else
that?
say
Yes.
something like that, and that's all it is. A lot of this stuff is just regurgitated, propaganda. So what AD was saying, that's why I was saying that you can see the parallels between here and the island of Hispaniola, because you purposely have governments that are bringing people in and they're giving them benefits and giving them aid and everything to undermine the citizens that's already there, that's put in blood, sweat, and tears in that particular land. And you even had people that has made videos on TikTok from the African diaspora, and even people Asian that said we was told in the immigration office to stay away from Black Americans.
That's how I'm gonna go to. They go 18. That's exactly how I'm gonna interject and tell what AD was saying. Yep, that's exactly they telling white racist people telling Africans, Hispanics, and Asians and other groups don't come near us. Caribbeans too. They say we lazy and they get in the low paying positions that we don't want, which is right. I mean, as a man of African descent, I don't want them low paying positions. I'm only with wealthy class at.
Well,
But
see,
yeah,
here's the thing. Here's the thing, Zacharias. The reason why Black Americans is not going to work those low wages positions are being purposely because we did it for hundreds of years already.
and we want better.
Yeah, and exactly, and they know that. So then they start bringing in other people, in that are in desperation to be able to work those type of jobs, and like I think in the miscommunication, and I think like based off of what I saw too, it was real bothersome to see that it's people of African descent that look like you that's putting you down as another Black person, because I don't know the deal. Some people say is people don't go by race outside of America, which is a lie. I know that, but let's say that's the case in the United States. Like with Black Americans representing everything, we thought we was representing for all Black people, whether you was from the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, the Bahamas. So when a lot of people arrived here, we just looked at them as other Black people. Of course, you got a culture. It's a culture difference. Of course, you speak a different language and different things like that. But we thought we was just representing for all Black people. So when we was, of course, met with this superiority complex, or oh no, my culture is better than yours and y'all don't have no culture, and I was like, wait, hold up. Where's this coming from? And I've
But they
ran,
listen to hip hop, cornrow their hair, right? They use the
yeah,
N word, but I'm
yeah.
no black.
And but
But
see,
can I?
not
Oh, go
just
ahead, go ahead.
like because my personal experience, I dealt with some Ghanaians that was from the continent. And this one girl, I had to break her down. I was like, "Do you know who Fred Hampton is? Do you know who Marcus Garvey and all of these people is? Do you know anything about them?" And she was like, "No, I don't know." I was like, "You need to educate yourself before you come here trying to come at us like that." Because you don't know
Well,
anything about what you're talking about. And what AD was saying, a perfect example, AD, when I was growing up, right? Merlin Santana. Merlin Santana was in numerous black shows. He was in the Steve Harvey show, different thing like
Cosby
that.
Show.
I didn't look at Merlin Santana as any I didn't I didn't know any Dominican people from the Dominican Republic outside of Sammy Sosa. That was the first Dominican person that I saw. And then there was people that were so ignorant we didn't even know that Haiti and the Dominican Republic was on the same island. So like when I grew up and I was seeing Merlin Santana, I didn't look at him as any different. I just saw him as okay, he's a New Yorker, he a black dude. I didn't even think the name Santana was a Spanish last name even growing up. So we didn't see that.
But can I also want to interject as well? Okay, so when they said we don't have culture as an African American person, I'm going to say why they say that. Okay, yes, you're talking about the 20s and 40s. We had the Harlem Renaissance, we had Motown in the 60s. Yes, so we create our own culture under an Anglo-Saxon influence because it's also part of. I don't agree with this. ATM, I mean ATM, I mean 18 letter, but we have Anglo blood. Okay, okay, you know what I mean? I do. So the point is that we had under Anglo influences, our African ancestors in Anglo states was restrict out their African culture. We had our African ancestors mixed in pure had to create their own culture. They're talking about hood rat and thug culture and saying the N word, which is not our culture. Because if you know your grandparents and those before us, yeah, they might have used that word, but they didn't use it to celebrate it. They used to degrade each other. You know, we get into arguments, okay, and especially with the colorism stuff. So they use those, yeah, Viacom, okay, who support the Pride Prince complex. That's the reason why it's all over the world. So when they get these stereotypes, they go to Asia, they go to other places, they looking at anti-black stereotypes and thinking that we are a bunch of hood rat thugs and drug dealers. And so when African immigrants who look similar to us, we all don't look alike, brother. Okay, we're gonna mix, okay? Go to other countries and they see us, see our African brothers and sisters, they think that they're thugs and hood rats too because of what they see on TV. Okay, because don't forget propaganda on media does manipulate people. So that's why they say we don't have no culture. Because I have to tell people, African people, we're not alike. We're not a monolith. We're a mixed race people, where people like it or not. Okay, we have different classes within our own community. I came from middle class America. Okay, part of our community. So not everybody hood, thug, and ghetto. Okay, that's what they see. So if we as actors and people got called that out, when we had BET with Bob Johnson, when he sold the Viacom, that was a good idea to show that we not all had that mentality. But when Viacom, who support the Pride Prince complex, or it's called acting a fool, okay, start putting the Suki analysts and even Kodak Black is not ADOS, he's a Haitian descent, but putting the anti-black stereotypes, thug, ghetto trash, and all that, and hood rat mess. Then they're like, I don't want to hang no black man, they lazy. I see what the white folks saying. That's what they're talking about. So we gotta point that out that we stop calling that black culture. That's not black culture. You know, our grandparents. I don't know about your grandmother or grandpa. We're not all alike, but some of us have similarities. Our grandparents did not agree with that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, sagging your pants. Look, they was against that. You know what I'm saying? Our parents who
Yeah,
had sense.
one thing I could actually say. I grew up down south and everything like that,
Exactly.
and then when I came to New York, is that the black people I'm talking about in Gulfport, Mississippi, when it was Martin Luther King Day, they had like a reverence, a respect to that day. When I came to New York, it was just like another day. Nobody people could say, "Oh yeah, we're this or that," but yet they don't honor that day. You know what I'm trying to say? and it's to the point that now, since certain people don't honor that day and everything like that, that's where we have all the stuff and Viacom dictating what's supposed to be African American culture when the fact is it's not. It was even to the point that BET, before I guess it got sold, it was a show. It was a show ran by by Charlie Murphy, Eddie Murphy's brother. May he rest in peace. That was trying to say that we have to do better. We're talking about doing better as knowing who we are and everything like that. I'm saying for the African American. So when you see all the Codge Hills and everything that is detrimental towards African American culture, and then you have certain people who are actually importing it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is what we doing, this, that, and the third." It's even to the point that there's an Indian boy up on Instagram, and he says that he's a black N word, and people like, WTF? Where did he learn that from? So I actually agree with what you're saying, Zacharias.
Because
Um,
up north, I'm sorry, Jose. I be on my phone, but down south. But let me say, because up north they had the green line, red line, and that's what President Johnson did. He corrupted and made that ghetto mess up there. Down south, we try to preserve those cultures. It's not like that. Back in the 80s and 90s, you better not call yourself an N word. We have people that did, but we used to fight amongst each other if someone calls us the N word. But anyway, sorry, Jose.
okay, well, so when people talk about that black people have no culture, I mean, they're talking on the ignorance. I mean, first of all, I mean, part of it is because it's survival. The fact of the matter is, for centuries, this African American community has dealt with so much. First of all, 250 years of slavery here. Other parts 300 years or 400 years, and then you have this, and then you have flooring, um, segregation, and things of that nature. So I mean, and the fact that they were deprived of the culture from the various African peoples, so they have to develop their own culture. Okay, so the fact, when people say that black people has no culture, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, when you think about all the influences, like, not just in in music, but in the in the arts, and in theater and things like that, there's a strong influence. And one thing that's very unique regarding the African American community is the spirit of perseverance. I mean, and when you think about it, in this country, there are two groups of people that really suffered, for who they are. One of them is the African American community, and the other is the so-called indigenous groups. I mean, when you think about, we violated every conceivable treaty that we made with these people, and then we wonder why people lash out. I mean, make it make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does. It's like if you really look at it, right? Because I'm about to wrap this up, but this one thing I'm just gonna say: if you really look at all these, when the racism transferred from TikTok to YouTube, right? It's even to the point that I've had a whole bunch of people trying to say that I'm anti-Christian, just because of whatsoever. When the fact is that I'm exposing the hypocrisy of what certain people are saying, but yet it's but yet these guys are like, so what's the word I'm trying to use?
they projecting their own
It,
insecurity.
no, 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 no. Yeah, but yeah, it's that. But there's another word. They're indoctrinated into this belief system, or what these soothsayers and I say snake oil salesman is selling them. I'm seeing the same thing that Brother Polite did towards the African American community, is that he's selling them a dream while he's actually pocketing the dinero. And I'm seeing that within the Hispanic community also, but just in a bigger light
Of course, in the Hispanic community, we are talking about the vineyards and Speaks and Six. Remember I talked about that? And the
Can
now.
I say
Right.
something really quickly? Can I say something really
Yeah,
quickly?
sure.
Um, Shout out to everybody. Thanks for allowing me up, Don. Yeah, I was just gonna say, with AD, if you don't worry, AD, if you want to join on my channel when I do lives, it's nothing but logical thinking people there. Of course, we'll be able to chop it up, look at things from different perspectives, whatever the subject matter may be. Same thing with the brother Costa, if you want to stop by. That is what you guys were saying is absolutely correct. There's much more to it than that, because like I was saying as well, the system is designed to pit people against each other. Because when you think about the diaspora, right, when we was all coming up, what do we think about, I mean, not the diaspora, the motherland, the continent, we thought everybody was broke with flies on their face, starving, living in huts with no type of civilization. That's the image that we got in the United States from Africa, and they turn around and got the images of us in the United States being nothing but criminals and thugs and different things like that. And that is that's a derivative. That's the underground of our culture. Like, just like in Japan, they got the Yakuza, or the Chinese got the triads. The only difference is it's not celebrated. But here in the United States as well, when you look at the history of like, we've never had what we all grew up in the 90s. So I can say the Cosby Show, Different World, different shows like that. Of course, singers like Luther Vandross, who else? Patti LaBelle. That was a different time period, and more of a great representation. But at the same time, it's funny because black people, they demonize black people and say we're nothing but thugs. But when you look at the United States, the whole history of media on what they did in Hollywood movies was glamorized criminals. Whether you want to talk about Bonnie and Clyde, Billy the Kid, John Dillinger, Al Capone, we had The Godfather, we had all of these. And then the funny thing is, when you look at the history of all of these, I'm just talking about in particular European groups, because everybody else wasn't here at this time period. When the European groups migrated here, and they were subjected to live in the ghettos in New York City and other places, what did they do? They had crime. They had crime because they couldn't feed themselves. They didn't have a lot of the resources. And what happened when in that underworld of crime, a lot of these Europeans, the Italians, the Irish, even the Hebrews, they exploited other people within their communities, or like extorted other people within their communities, to be able to be able to pocket what they were producing, like the revenue that they was producing. Like, let's take the Italians, the Black Hand. Why was it the Black Hand? Because they would put a hand with ink, and put a black hand on a paper and tell people that they was going to have to pay them for protection, otherwise they store would be vandalized or set ablaze. Different things like that. But people, they never second guess that. They never think about that, or speak on anything about those type of things. And it's so much like what AD was saying. It's a lot of things that people don't educate themselves on because they don't care. Because one thing I've noticed about people, it don't matter the group, people don't care as long as they feel that they are reaping the benefits of whatever that they're getting.
If it doesn't affect them. But the problem is, by the time it does affect them, it's too late.
It's too late.
And it's funny how, like, minorities, if you think about it, like, my God, like, some people did an excellent job at brainwashing all of us. Because if you really think about it, like, to other minorities should know what it's like to be stereotyped in the worst way possible. Like, Middle Easterners should know what it's like to be stereotyped as a bunch of terrorists, right? Freaking Indians should know what it's like to be stereotyped as a bunch of backwards, Eureka Curry, blah blah blah, like these stupid racist stereotypes. Mexicans should know what it's like to be stereotyped. You know what I mean? And it's just like
But
people have such
AD,
people have such short memories. It's like,
yeah,
how do
not to
you hear a
interrupt.
stereotype about another group of people and instead of joining that, not think, hold on, I didn't like it when they said that about my people, so I'm not going to listen to what you say about another group of people because I know what it's like when the same thing was said about mine. And
N-
it's
n-
just like, how dare you forget what it was like when it was done to you?
not to interrupt you, AD. But the funny thing that you mentioned about all of those groups, they were anti-black before they got here in the United States. Like the Arabs, they had the Arab slave trade of East Africa. They even have a term that they call all black people called abith or abid, which is Arabic for slave. Of course, with the history of India and the British occupying India, and the dark complected Indians, and even the cities, which is a people of African slaves that were brought to India, are considered the bottom caste or the people that are, cast out completely. And when you look at Mexico, the history of Spain and and mestizaje over in Mexico and the racial categorization system in Mexico, it doesn't surprise me at all. And then you have those people who want to be. It was even a white guy that made a TikTok video and said, black people, when y'all leave the room, Hispanics, Asians, and Arabs, they're laughing with white people, calling you all types of racial slurs, and this was coming from a white guy. So it doesn't surprise me because it's too many people that are very if you're not taught at a certain age, if you're not taught what to look out for, you know, it's hard to explain it, but if you're taught that you have to look down on people to get up to the top and don't upset these people because you won't make it there, then that creates a sheep like mentality for certain people. And people, they go through their lives like that. And then you even have some people that adopt their parents' views because it's if your identity is forged in being bigoted and being and you have a superiority complex based off of that. Let's
Right.
say other people's parents are racist. I bond with
All
my
right.
parents and I love my parents, so I'm going to adopt that mentality to be accepted in the family and different things like that. So it's a multitude.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And one thing I've had to say, my mom, God rest her soul, she always told me that there's good and there's bad within a lot of people, and it's to the point that certain people they'll actually be good, and then certain people they'll be racist or whatsoever the case may be. So my thing is this, because with all this, with all the narratives of police brutality and everything, is that I'm tired of the same old narrative. And me, I'm 40 years of age, and it's like a lot of occurrences that's happening, but I guess it's happening more because people have cameras. But it's like okay, I don't know what you should call it, the Injustice Olympics or anything like that. But one thing that I'm just gonna say before I close out, because I'm about to close out, because I'll have work in the morning,
I was going to say,
is that
not to interrupt you, Don. I
yeah,
was going to say, AD, would you mind staying in the backstage for a minute after
Yeah, I
Don?
don't mind.
yeah. So it's like with anything and everything, it's just to the point that with all the injustices that's going on within the world, I'm seeing like the examples of other communities. I think that if we're gonna stop these injustices, we will have to have some type of strategy, because all these injustices is happening, and it feels like all these justices. I'm talking about cops, lawyers, judges. They either belong to some fraternal organization or they're actually related down the line. So it's like sometimes you can't even win. when you have those strong family bonds or organizational bonds. So I'm thinking that we might have to do the same. What's your thoughts about that?
I feel like I get what you're saying, but unless it's a collective effort, it's just really not going to happen. We might have little wins here and there, but we're never going to fundamentally change the system. Like they might give a holiday, right? They might build a statue about George Floyd. They might paint, Washington D.C. streets with a sign that says Black Lives Matter, and we're going to have these conversations, and we'll be giving little breadcrumbs. You know what I mean? But the fact is, most of the bread will remain intact, if you get my analogy. I feel like you're gonna be having the same
Yeah,
conversation 40 years from now. I'm sorry. I
gotcha,
don't know. I don't
gotcha.
know. I don't mean to be pessimistic, but I feel like things are gonna get better in some ways, but only just so that we get a false sense of security and think, we've made
Yeah,
progress,
so
so we're good. Until the next shit is gonna happen, that's gonna wake us up, and we're gonna be like, "But we thought things were getting better." And the people we call Chicken Little for warning us are going to say, "Hey, we told you this was just for show. It's smoke and mirrors." This is what always happens. You know what I mean? It's like they give us just enough to give us a false sense of security, to keep a few idiots happy, but they'll never fundamentally overturn the entire structure until I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take, to be honest with you. But I don't really have a lot of
all
hope,
right,
to be honest with you.
I see. So with that said, do anybody have any closing statements?
Yeah, my closing statements is like what AD said, and it's usually will be within the next 2 to 3 generations. When people, said, what people said to them, like, oh, that's not true, that's not gonna happen, and y'all just need to do this and that. It's usually gonna hit them when their kids come and telling them the same thing, or their grandkids come and telling them the same thing, and then they're gonna be playing dumb like they don't. Oh, I thought it was getting. No, it wasn't, because a lot of people like to be willfully obtuse, and then when the
Gotcha.
truth comes out, then they play dumb to because they don't want to, pretty much say, "Oh, I was wrong." They just don't want to say I was wrong, or I was brainwashed to believe a certain thing. Instead of that, people be too embarrassed, so they just play dumb.
Or gaslight? Your closing statements, Lucas?
Nothing really.
Gotcha. Um, Don Jose?
Well, one thing we have to bear in mind that change comes very slowly and it comes through many defeats. Okay. In some ways, things are better, and in some ways, things are worse. I mean, what makes it worse is that now with social media, everything is magnified. But we have to be mindful that this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Change does occur, but we have to keep our perspectives, and we must remember who we are. With that being said, I just want to say thank you for allowing me on your platform. And of course, all of you are more than welcome to check out my channel, which is Uncommon Sense with Jose Negro.
Yes,
For that
Don Jose.
perspective.
Yeah. Well, with that said, good evening to all y'all.
Good
This Poppy
evening.
got to
Oh,
go to
by the
sleep,
way, Don
so
Armando, since I'm not gonna be on TikTok, how can I get a hold of you? Because I do want to talk to you outside of YouTube.
all right. I'm gonna put my email in the back chat.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So with that said, good night, and this was a great show.
Peace.
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 Good
Peace
night.
out.